Good morning and welcome to the ENO Business Success Podcast. This is Phil Guinois and my partner Micah Watkins. Today, Jack is actually out today, recovering from a little bit of a cold, and it is Monday, March 4th, 2024. And, this podcast is about business success. It's about empowerment and how those two things actually come together. So, Micah, we just had a phenomenal weekend this weekend in the 60-day game that we have, the third course in our empowerment networking part of what we do. So let's have a conversation about that this weekend. So I'm going to kick it off and let you get started with that over there.
Well, I'm just going to start off by saying what a powerful weekend. I mean, the group that went through together, unbelievable to watch. Not only where they finished, but where they started from and where they saw the changes in themselves, things that showed up for themselves in that time period, and who they became afterwards. Massively powerful.
Yeah, I would call it epic. It was an epic event this weekend.
I've had the pleasure of coaching the game a couple of times. I've gone through the game myself, and hands down, the power and synergy of that group that went through that finished this weekend, bar none, it was massive.
Yeah.
And epic is the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah. So, it's interesting, it was 58 days long, right? Not even quite 60, right? 8 weeks. And like you said, this group of people, they actually, several of them had done the other courses, Achieving Life and Business Success and then Breakthrough together. They kind of moved through, most all of them moved through that together. And that was so powerful to watch them move through those last two courses, Breakthrough and the 60-day challenge. And one of the things that I think they all shared with us is that the connections that they built and how deep those connections became over this last 60 days and how that's impacting their business and their networking. But not only that, they're seeing things in their family dynamics that absolutely is changing for them. And they came into this, and most of them, while we know all of them, right? There's every single one of them we know, and we've been networking with for a variety of times, depending upon how long they've been a member with us. And there was some definite reservedness when they first came into the 60-day game, right? And that had just, over this last 60 days, basically had melted away. And they were so vulnerable and connected with each other. So what are some of the things you saw in that over the 60 days and this weekend?
Well, I think one, that connectivity that you saw, that you witnessed and that we're talking about is that's the result of what happens with Breakthrough. Breakthrough is next level. Achieving business life success, that's awesome, right? It's great. It's fundamental information. It should be taught in schools. It should be taught all over the world. Yeah. Well, that's a different conversation.
We'll get there.
Right. However, it's the foundation. Breakthrough is like jumping from elementary school and, borderline almost skipping high school and into college. Right. Because I would say it's like going from elementary school to your senior year in high school. That's the level at which it is. You need the foundation. You need the language, to understand and comprehend what's happening in Breakthrough. But that group particularly, they all went through Breakthrough together, and then they all were in the game together.
Yeah.
So that connectivity was built on the foundation that happened in Breakthrough. It's amazing the resistance that people put up when I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that, or I'm unable to find time to do this, or I'm unable. Are you unable or are you unwilling? And then when you get down to the root question, a lot of them were like, all right, well, Okay, yeah, I was just unwilling to do something. And then they've moved past that resistance. And what's on the other side of that is what they've been looking for, right? So it's having the willingness to say, okay, all right, yeah, I know this is my routine, yet I can make alterations if I want this. I don't remember exactly who quoted it first, right? However, on the other side of fear is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And you have to break through that. I don't know if it was Wayne Dyer or, Steve Harvey always quotes Will Smith as saying, on the other side of fear is what you're looking for, right? Well, same thing. That fear is the resistance. So that group, when they took advantage of what the opportunity, and they moved past that resistance and found ways to make it work. And even on that first day of the game, when they get the rules and the just the layout and the structure of how everything works, the resistance was there.
Yeah.
And to see where they were 58 days later of the 60-day game and how they were so welcoming and thankful and living in gratitude that they thank you for allowing me the space to work through the resistance and then push myself to the end and where they came up. A lot of them now just have the formula to achieve the things that were eluding them. They're like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And it's like it keeps eluding, right? And through that, it's the habits that are built in that 60-day game. And you finally see how people are showing up, not only for themselves, but for others.
Well, and, you said resistance, and it's interesting because there's another saying, what you resist persists, right? So a lot of times what we've seen in this group is things are showing up for them now in different areas that they weren't even looking to go and get in this challenge. And that comes from just getting the resistance down, because the resistance holds things out, right? It's a protective bubble around you. So this thing could be right up here and it could be completely aligned with what they want, but it's not going to get to them while the resistance there. And so many of them have said, yeah, this happened over here. I wasn't even seeing that or thinking about that. It just kind of dropped right here for me. And then, yesterday when we were completing the day, Micah, kind of this resistance thing, I talked about NASCAR, and I'm a NASCAR fan. And, one of the things that when there is a wreck on the track, drivers are instructed to just gun it and drive through, just keep driving. Get rid of that hesitation, get rid of that resistance. That's where you're going to get in trouble, is when you hesitate and you resist something. Now, doesn't mean that you can't still get caught up in the accident, but the likelihood is way, way less when they just focus on going through whatever is right in front of them in an accident. And that's what's happened this weekend with a lot of these people and over the last 60 days.
Well, when you say focus, and you could use the word intention as well, right? And again, to go back to what you were saying, what you resist persists. I'll take that back, and actually reverse it just a little bit. And this is where the power of, the vision board, right? Oprah is known for, let's all make vision boards. Well, there's power there because what you focus on is the intention of what you're looking to achieve, and you apply that focus there, and that'll show up. And now the benefit is all the other things that come along with it that you were unaware of. You might have been focused on this, right? I know that I've had on my, we'll say, quote unquote, vision board. I don't use a vision board. I do it in a different way. However, the focus is still there, and all of a sudden now I own an airplane, right? I've been looking at airplanes, and it's been on my focus. I had a conversation with a gentleman today at the gym. I said, hey, I met with a realtor last week. He's looking for solid plumbers. Well, this guy I know, he's down in my community. He's a plumber and awesome guy. And we see each other at the gym all the time. And when I was leaving the gym, I was like, oh, good, I found you. I want to let you know I've got this real estate agent that he needs a good plumber, just for his, in his network and be able to share with his clients and all that. And he's like, that's awesome. And he said, I was at church yesterday, and the message was really good, and he was really, I had been thinking about, I want to be able to sell more water softeners. Now, I live down in an area where it's all, new home builds, right? And all of them need soft water, especially where we live, the water is really hard. So he's like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. And he's like, I need to find some sales guys. Well, he's having, this has been on his mind, and all of a sudden now this sales guy showed up in his life and was like, yeah, I can go sell water softeners for you. He's like, you can do that. You're going to make like $200 a sale. If you can go, however many you want per week. I mean, that's going to turn out to be a nice little sales gig, per week if you're just selling. He was like, oh, he was just blown away that all of a sudden this is what he had been asking, right? Some would say, oh, I'm asking God this, or some will say, oh, the universe or source or whatever it is, right? The point is that that's what he was asking for. And then all of a sudden it shows up. And then I said, well, that's interesting, because the realtor that I'm going to introduce you to, he was talking about looking for plumbers that install water softeners. So there's got to be something to that. There's something there. So it's amazing what can happen when we get incredibly focused about what we want to create.
Well, and, I think here's a flip side to the coin. You put an intention out there, and sometimes the universe, whatever you want to call it, actually challenges you on that. Because you want this, and you put that out there, and then that doesn't show up. Something else shows up, a roadblock, a challenge, and then something else. And it sometimes challenges like, do you really want this? Are you going to do the work? And you're going to stay with the intention mechanism to have that show up for you. So sometimes it puts a challenge in front of you, and that's where people back down. How long has the plane been, quote, on your vision? Probably didn't show up the first time you put it on your board, so to speak, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's something that it's on the forefront of your mind for a while. I mean, it's not a week. It's definitely not a day. And it's definitely a lot longer than a month. I mean, some things I'm sure you could manifest and, get clear on and, okay, sweet. That's fairly easy to acquire, right? Usually, everything has a cost, right? And that cost to acquire the things that you really want in this life and in this world, the biggest cost is time.
Yeah.
It's time.
And how consistent you are with the intention, right? If your intention, your focus wavers, I want this, I'm focused on this, the plane, let's say, and then 6 months later, you divert your focus and go, oh, I'd rather have a Camaro, right? And then 6 months later, maybe a motorcycle, right? The universe doesn't quite know what to give you at that point in time, so it kind of sits back, And in the meantime, you're getting frustrated because it's not showing up for you, right? So that focus and that intentionality that these people had this weekend, in the last 60 days in the game was just incredible to watch, and the connections. So virtually everybody in there was a part of ENO, the Empowerment Networking Organization. And all of them are in our mastermind, one of our mastermind groups. And what was incredible to see is how deep those connections went and things that they found out. Like 2 of the guys have been networking together for 3 years and found out they live a half a mile from each other and never knew that before.
They live in the same neighborhood area.
Yeah.
In the same community.
Yeah. I mean, literally it's across one major street is all that it is. And yet that they were great together. They're in the same mastermind group, right? And they didn't know that. And that mastermind group's been around nearly a year now. Not quite, but nearly a year, 9 months-ish. And they didn't know that. And so it allowed them to get so much more connected. And that happened with other members. You know, I'm thinking of someone who's like, found out that one of the guys, oh my God, you live like 2 miles from me. We should be doing more together. We didn't even know that, right? So what else did you see this weekend?
Well, it wasn't, the focus was there, right? That's, it draws it out of you in that game. It draws the focus there because, there's certain goals that you got and you got intentions and all that. The other thing that what really showed up for me was the support that all of the players had from everyone in the game. See, there's so many different dynamics. We can sit here and talk about one thing, right? Life doesn't work like that. It doesn't. It's crazy. Life is life, and there's a lot of things that we got to deal with, right? One of the things that we don't get enough of is support, right?
Yep.
Who's really championing in our corner when we decide to go out and become an entrepreneur or start a new business, or I'm sure you got some close family and friends that will champion for you, but that's about it. And in some cases, there's I know in my industry, I know in our guest industry, when you make that shift, that change, sometimes it's met with a lot of resistance. They're like, well, who are you to think that you can do that, right? And so sometimes a lot of people have that to overcome, right? So where's the support? That's how people can, get off track. Hey, great, you've got this idea. You're going to take the leap of faith. You're jumping out and you're going to start running and you hit a brick wall. And a lot of people allow that to stop them. And maybe it's a small wall. They might, climb over that one. They're just, there's a little wall. Each time you get stopped with resistance, how much bigger does the wall get? And at what point are you going to say, oh man, I really don't feel like climbing that wall? And I think that's what happens. There's no one there to help support them to climb that wall. The walls are going to show up.
Yep.
That's life. It's just like, hey, how awesome would it be? Like, no walls show up for me. It's unrealistic, right? It's just not real in this realm.
Well, and one of the things that was shared yesterday as we were again wrapping up the weekend and the course is, one of the participants shared about, basically giving, how it's easy to give and it's not as easy to receive, because a lot of what we do in ENO is pouring into people, right? And being able to see into people, so to speak, and pour into them. Receiving is a very interesting piece, because the better we are at receiving, the better we are at giving, right?
Absolutely.
And that's an awkward thing for most of us at any level to an extent, is I'm uncomfortable with you telling me those things that you see in me, right? And you know exactly who I'm talking about this weekend. And like it was a mountain for that person. And when they shared that, you know, and I know this person well, they're a giver. It's always been hard for them to receive. And there was a breakthrough for them there, seeing that for themselves. And then us being able to share with them, the more you can receive, the easier you can take in the receiving, the more powerful your giving will even become.
Well, because your cuppeth runneth over.
Yeah.
You're full, right? It's so much easier to give when we're full. It's difficult. When you're depleted and you have very little, it is easy to not give.
Yeah.
Because it's a different mindset. You get into a reserved and closed off, and you're like, oh, it's a scarcity mindset. And when you can allow the resistance, right, to be able to receive, you know, that's the magic. And if you read The Go-Giver, they talk about just that fact. It's the fifth law in The Go-Giver. And it's a very powerful little nugget. It's there for everyone. Now, whether or not everyone, you know, fully sees it, you know, they just say, oh, okay, yeah, it's good to give. Yeah, we like giving. Okay. Well, oh yeah, I like receiving and all that too. It takes work and it takes practice. And that's why they call a lot of what we do the work. I mean, you got to put the work in. You don't show up for a seminar or a class, or you go through a Tony Robbins weekend or something, and then sweet, you're empowered for a little bit, right? Eventually it wears off if you don't continue the work. And you get to a place where now it's like, oh, okay. Well, it's like, oh, okay. Then it becomes easier and easier and easier because you put in the work.
Yeah. You know, and that's exactly why we have created what we've created at ENO, the Empowerment Networking Organization, is the culture, and the empowerment is there in everything that we do, from our networking events, all of the things that we do, the empowerment piece, and that we're always looking for, you know, how do we pour into our people? How do we give more? How do we acknowledge them? And I think that has created and has attracted those people to us that come to us as guests and then ultimately become members, that they're like, wow, they may not even be able to express what it is, but they know it's different than what they've experienced in other places, and not from a good or a bad standpoint, just it's different and it's unique. And I think that they embrace that, and they come in and they find that they can be them with us, and that we'll pour into them, and that everybody is equal, so to speak, right? Everybody has the opportunity here, and there's no cliques and culture, you know, drama or anything like that. Everybody gets to just step up and be accepted and grow as they grow. And there's no manipulation or any of the things that, you know, happen in life, right? In a lot of life. So I think that's really, you know, powerful. And this weekend was incredible. Anything else you want to say on that? I know we're probably at about a time that we need to start switching over here and bring on our guest in a few minutes.
Yeah. So the one I was going to add on to, I mean, when you think about, you know, our members and what we're doing for them in a way that we want to pour into them as much as we possibly can, right? As, you know, we do things a little bit differently around here to provide as much value as possible. Kind of, in a way, it puts them in a situation where they're more or less forced to receive, you know, in a way, like, oh, well, I'm receiving all this attention and all this, you know, just energy towards me, the member, right? And we do that on purpose. It's part of the culture that we're creating. And where are they getting that elsewhere? Are they getting it where others are really pouring into them? And it creates the opportunity for them to allow them to experience the part of receiving and getting used to it, to a point where then, again, they know that this is different. Why? Well, they're in an environment that they're not used to.
Yeah.
Of being poured into all the time.
With no expectation.
Correct.
With no agenda of the giving piece.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, a whole other topic. Like, I'm a giver, yet I expect blah, 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 blah. Right. Yeah. That's a whole different piece. So that we could do a whole hour talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, this weekend was massively powerful. I look at, they were team one of ENO and the 60-day game.
Yeah.
Team one. They set the precedent of the group that the group that they are and the connections that they created. And you look at the opportunities that is abound in there for them to really grow their businesses. I mean, the connections are so tight now that it's just like, they know each other on a different level. That it's like one of those, it's an unbreakable bond kind of, type relationships that they've experienced together, especially when they went through, you do break through together and then you go into that, or, we've seen it before where, I know that when I did it, right, I was fortunate enough to, go through breakthrough, and then I went into the game. However, it was different people. It wasn't, I had a couple of people, right, in that group, and then some of those people showed up in the game. Yeah, it wasn't the entire group.
Yeah.
And that's what was unique about this. Massively powerful. And, hopefully the members really see that as an opportunity to really take their networking to the next level. All that we do, is provide tools for them to become, better for themselves, better networkers, better business owners. They're just tools. And then pull that out, I need this. Oh, I need this. Oh, I remember doing that. I need this, right? And it's like going into a workshop and attempting to build something. And if you don't have the right tool for it, well, is it really going to, might be able to make do. It might become harder because you don't have the right tool. Takes longer. You could do it. Yeah. However, if you had the right tool, it's more effective, more efficient. You saved yourself time. And what's the greatest commodity here on earth?
Time.
Our time.
Yep. All right. Well, that was the first half of our podcast, and we are bringing on our guests with us, actually members at ENO. And today we actually have our first guest, Lauren Quinn. She is a financial planner. Lauren has been a member with us for about a year and a half now. And Lauren is actually in one of our mastermind groups as well. So welcome, Lauren, to the podcast. And Micah, I think you've got some questions for her, so let's just welcome her. I think we got a little sound effect there, and here we go.
Oh, let's see if I got this one right. Here we go. Look at that. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you both so much. Really excited to be here. As Phil said, yes, been a member of ENO now for about a year and a half. Almost getting close to 2 years, and it's been a definite journey. It's been an experience. It's one that I love to continue to grow with, even with the changes and the new developments that ENO has done over the last couple of years. And the mastermind groups are absolute game changers, even within ENO, I believe, because just as you were saying with the breakthrough and the 60-day challenge, with having our mastermind members together And then we all come to the ENO lunches. We're all supporting ENO. We're all connected, and we're creating those relationships further, building those relationships further. And it is really nice to see, there's been times where all of our mastermind has been at a lunch and we say, look at us, our whole group is here. And it's a real empowering feeling. So not just, I guess, hey, right? It's why, right? Empowerment. I love it. And it's kind of that bit of pride in our group and what we're doing to help grow each other's businesses as well as our own.
Awesome, Lauren. So what got you into the space that you're in now? Yeah.
So interestingly enough, so my background was originally growing up, I really loved music, and I was always in music. My dad, actually growing up, he was really big on making sure we're set for success in the real world, right? Did items, told us all about, what to do properly with credit cards, how we do things right with bank accounts. And I was really fortunate to actually have that upbringing of, hey, this is how we do things, and this is how, making sure you get the right rate of return on accounts and investments and things like that, where most people don't have that, right? Most people, they just know, hey, swipe that card, all those items. And so I was always, hey, still all my music stuff. And, music really is math, if you think about it. So I was always I was really great at math growing up, but music was my passion. My mom was always, why aren't you going into math? That's where, that's where you make money, blah, blah, blah. I was always, I want to help people. I want to create something. Yeah, sure. My whole thing is you do the right thing and money will come. And when I went into, so I actually went to school for music industry. So it was a business degree with music on there. And interesting, right? So you're talking about the universe, how it brings things to you. Well, when I moved out to Arizona after I graduated college, and I got I knew somebody out here, got a job as a teller, starting as a teller in a bank. And so I said, look at this, all my music stuff. And here I am working in a financial institution. Worked my way up, with banking. And unfortunately, you see in banking a lot, traditional banking, it's all about, what can you sell the person? What, sell this, sell this, sell this. And, the bottom line for the bank. And I really didn't like that. I said, well, what happened to helping people? And so what's been really amazing and transformative with my business now, being the financial advisor, is really being able to help people through their finances, through those steps, through the right, as we call it, the order of operations, and really see an impact in the change of people's lives, what we're doing to change the trajectory of their finances, their livelihood, their families.
Awesome. Quick question. Where did you go to college for music?
It's SUNY, so State University of New York. So that's where I'm from, New York. In Oneonta, it's upstate New York. And they were the only college at that time who had a music industry program. So it was, very much a business degree with a music influence, if you will. So a marketing class was music in the marketplace, right? So you're still getting all the marketing information and, end caps and how to do a radio ad or a newspaper ad. Funny, right? Newspaper. Who does newspaper ads anymore, right? Or am I aging myself, right? On that? But those are those kinds of things. But then learned then how to, okay, now we're putting it in a music store, perhaps, or those music related areas in that sense. So it was really cool to have the music feel, but then still I was really thankful then to really have that the business background on the degree, because it's a business degree with a little music.
There you go. Did you play an instrument?
I did, yeah. So I played the flute and piccolo and a little piano. I was in the marching band growing up. I still have my flute and piccolo. I haven't played them in a number of years, but they're mine, right? So I can't get rid of them. They're mine. And I actually did a pit orchestra in high school, which was super fun. It was, so I was first chair flute and piccolo, which was really an accomplishment because, flutes are kind of a dime a dozen. And that's also why I didn't go into performance. A lot of people say, why, if you were so into music, why didn't you go into performance? Well, flutes are a dime a dozen. You need to be kind of practicing that a good 18 hours a day to be the top elite. And I knew at the time that's not the how I want to spend that time.
Absolutely. I can relate. My mom was a music teacher, and I played in the orchestra for a long time. I played the viola in the orchestra. So yeah, I can relate to what you're talking about. And sometimes as a kid, you're like, do I want to spend that much time practicing? Well, it depends on what your focus is, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to be the best of the best, at that instrument, well, I guess you're going to put the focus on that, and you'll create that. So you talked a lot about how you're able to give to your clients and pour into them. What is that feeling like for you? How does that fill your cup as a financial planner? What?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So it really is about when you see the relief on someone's face when you just show them the proper way to, hey, here is your debt freedom date, for instance, and we're going to help you through how to get there. This is the plan, right? Seeing how they just kind of sigh of relief of, oh, I can do this. There is a way. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just such a great feeling knowing that, I help them do that, and being able to, start somebody with, their retirement account day one. We have no net worth minimums and no transaction minimums, which is really, really rare in our industry. And because of that, we're able to help everyone. So not just the people with all the money. And it's great to be able to give back to that community that I really wasn't able or allowed to help back when I was in traditional banking, because, hey, if they don't have X amount of money in their bank account, sorry, but, they got to go. Unless you can sell them a loan, of course, right? Again, right, always about try to sell them something. And here I can help people, empower them for their own financial freedom and help them along that way. It's a feel good. It's a way I can do a great job for myself and for my clients and be able to sleep at night knowing that I didn't mess up somebody's world, right? That I didn't, offer them a way to add more debt, those kinds of things. Instead of, no, we're taking that away. We're actually helping them now grow and build, protect their family, protect their futures financially.
Now, Lauren, you actually shared something with us a couple of weeks ago, and I want to highlight this for just a moment, that you walk the walk, right? So tell us about your house and paying that off, right? Because I think that, when somebody looks for a financial planner or any guide in any area of their life, you want somebody that's got some skin in the game and has done it. Maybe not everything that they're going to, they haven't finished everything that they're going to share with you, but they're on the path. So tell us about your house and that piece, because I think that's important.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so so my house is fully paid off. We have so coming into my own as an adult finances, right? Just always making sure to be putting money away, keeping debt down, not accruing debt. And with that, also being able to be financially smart in, hey, getting the right kind of financial game plan for myself and so not only am I completely debt free, and I've been maxing out my IRAs for years, but now also my house. Yep, my house is completely paid off.
And you bought it when?
11 years ago now. So.
And you took out how long of a loan?
It took a 15-year loan out and got it paid off in about 10 and a half years.
Awesome.
So, yep, that's all part of showing people the way of how you can, again, reduce the amount of interest you're paying over time and not, living in, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or ramen, right? So you're able to still live life and be able to achieve those goals.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's one that's massively powerful, when you can walk the walk and you can show people, hey, like, here's a path. I've done it. So you're speaking from experience, and experience is what teaches, right? I want to go back to one thing before Phil asked you that question, though, into where you were pouring into your clients. If we look at the law of receptivity or reciprocity, how do you see that show up coming back to you from your clients?
Well, of course, with any of our, you do a good job, people refer people to you, right? So I've had several clients I've actually had clients who, again, right? So obviously, we're all in business. We're all here to make money. But when I'm helping somebody, start from literally zero, right? Maybe I'm helping them put $25 away into the proper investment account for them. And that doesn't pay me very much, right? But I know I'm really helping them. And you know what that's done? That's helped. That's also said, you know what? You helped me when no one else would. And I have somebody who I would love to introduce you to, that you could really help them. And I've been able to do that, right? So that's not only helped spread my name out, right? Helped to get more people knowing what I'm doing, and also people know I'm doing the right thing. So there's the fiduciary responsibility, right? We all have that, but unfortunately not everybody obeys by their fiduciary responsibility, which is very sad. But being able to help people in that aspect has also helped me grow my business. And I've also been able to, again, growing my network with ENO and being able to help my clients if they need somebody else. Maybe they need a tax planner. Maybe they need an estate planner. Maybe they need there's time for them because we got their debt down and they're ready to buy a house. Maybe they need a realtor or a mortgage lender. And it's really amazing to be able to help give back to them in that way too, of now, hey, because I've done this networking and I've built this team of referral partners, that I can continue to give back to them there. And then again, they'll do the same thing to me. If they've got somebody who they know needs some financial help, or hey, this person needs some debt strategies, or whatever the case is, I'm able to receive those, right? So again, right, the receiving is very difficult. It's hard, as you were mentioning earlier. I'm one of those. It's like I'm much of more of a giver, and it's hard to receive. But I'm getting better at that. On that end. But yeah, being able to, again, give more of myself and my knowledge and educate people financially, and it's really come back 100-fold.
It's awesome. It just speaks to the power of, when you're able to provide as much value as possible for others. We instinctually want to do that, yet the world out there, they,
doesn't pull for that.
It does not pull for that at all. So when we can break free of those chains and we can provide as much value as we can for others, it's amazing how it shows up. So, you were in banking. Now you stayed in, you kind of just transitioned into one side of the industry to another, right? Did you have to what did you have to do for yourself within growth? What was that part of the journey for you? Was there anything that you had to, do or overcome to get to where you're at now? And I know you just a couple of weeks ago, you got a big promotion at work. You're moving up the ladder in your designations and stuff like that. So what has that journey been for you? And what have you seen in yourself show up?
Yes, great question. Again, right back in banking, you're under this corporate thumb, right? Keeping you kind of down in, keep the corporate message, or if you will, even if you don't agree with it, all those things. And so you kind of get used to being repressed, right? Repressing yourself. And so coming into my own business and my own working on through our firm, it's been definitely scary, right? Doing something completely different, moving out on your own, but also knowing you're doing the right thing is a big motivator. And definitely had to do a lot of self-development in that time. And again, these, networking, getting used to networking. I'm one of those, as they call them, an extroverted introvert, right? Where I'm really not big on big, huge groups of people, but I love, my handful of people to be, close knit with, and knowing, okay, well, now I've got to find my own people to go out and help, procure my own clientele. And, people aren't going to walk in the door. I have to find them and reach out. And it was definitely a big change. It's still something I work on, because, I'm not one of those big social media type people. I'm not just walk up to anybody in the grocery store. Hi, how are you? Right. It's always like, oh, okay. I don't want to bother people kind of thing. And so, just kind of getting out of the shell. Right. And I think also too, just having I'm a very technical type, if the star, right? T, technical, right? So where I get really passionate. So I'm super passionate about finance and those types of things. And so I can, I'll start lighting up when I talk about finance or music, right? Because again, I love music too. But when it's other things, I'm all, okay, I'll get really quiet. And I might not be as open or things like that. So again, this has really been a journey of starting to try to toot my own horn, as Phil was saying before. Right? It was always hard for me to do that and to say, yes, I know what I'm doing, even though I always knew I knew what I was doing. But that's one thing I still work on with my own getting out there, speaking more, getting more comfortable speaking in front of groups, doing more team trainings, because now we've got our team at work, and making sure to bring a correct message to people that not only gives them value, but also empowerment for themselves and correct information too. So all encompassing. And so that's something that I continue to always grow on.
So Lauren, your firm is actually, I believe, probably helped you a lot in that personal growth piece, right? Because it's not just about the financial practice that you do. So how has being tapped in with the firm and the people that you work with helped you grow? Like, what are some of the things that you've seen, that they've provided, and like, wow, now that you've been here X number of years, whatever that is, I've grown in that, and I've mirrored that ability from someone else and adapted it to my own style. So what are a couple things that you've learned from the organization that you're with?
Yeah. So my coaches are absolutely amazing. They not only have been in the business about the same amount of time, actually same amount of time I've been in finance overall. So I've been in finance for 20 years, but with my business, only just a handful. And they have complete sets in place, right? Systems are in place. They are not only, they're not really managers, right? They're coaches. They're mentors. They're leaders. They lead by example. They truly believe that we are making a difference. Not just believe it. We know it. We are making a difference in people's lives because we do trainings with our new agents. We're not just salespeople. We are changing people's lives. We are not only making money, we are making a difference. And that is huge. And I don't believe that if I were with another office within my firm that I would even be where I'm at currently. Yeah, it's just been a blessing to be in their office and their presence and under their leadership.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, really, the great and wise Jim Rohn probably said it the best. You have to work harder on yourself than you do your business. And the reason for that, I mean, would you agree, Lauren, that when we work on ourselves, we improve ourselves, we're able to have the conversations that need to happen with people?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn as well. So I know this is something we always have in common. And it's so true because not only, am I learning how to be a better business owner, they have just a great example too. They're my leaders, they're a happily married, amazing couple. And so, my husband and I, so we've been married 7 years now. And it's just wonderful to be around like-minded people who also love their spouses, right? It's not like when, again, back to typical corporate stuff, you hear people, they're cheating on their wife or this or that, or they're complaining. It's being around people and that other piece of what he says, you are the 5 people that you surround yourself most. That's another one of, paraphrasing, but Jim Rohn, he mentions that. And it's, not only having people around you that are amazing business coaches, but also people who your values are the same, that you're, are great examples of people being great, amazing, wonderful human beings.
Yeah, there's a lot in that, and it speaks to what you're able to do and the value you bring, and when you're able to grow, right? Look, at all times we're either in growth or we're in decay. There is no just being, right? You're in growth or you're in decay, and I think for most people, if they realized, that if they're not working on themselves, they might be in decay. They might be going backwards. They're not seeing the things that they want in life, and they're frustrated. And then they want what they see in you, like, oh, I'm living life. I've got my house paid off, and you have this energy of gratitude around you, right? And so, what is that like for your clients when they can feel that? They're like, oh man, here's my person that is helping me, and they're in complete gratitude of absolutely everything in their life because they've done some work on themselves. I'm sure that shows up in your conversations with your clients, and that's what most likely draws your clients to you.
Yeah, that's a big thing of being able to show gratitude is huge, right? And actually, I was in Hawaii actually last week with my leadership and the company, right? So I had earned a trip, right? So I was like, hey, cool, I earned this great trip, and we always were big on toasts, and my toast was to thankfulness, because it's, I wouldn't be where I am without, where I came from, right? Without the leadership I'm with now, without even the negative experiences in former job paths, career paths. And so thankful for everything you kind of been through to get you to where we are today. And I do believe that my clients can kind of feel that because, again, not only am I making sure to assist them, but showing them that, hey, kind of in that same way, lead by example of, well, I'm not sitting here in hundreds of thousands of dollars of credit card debt or all these other items and have no money, saved and not practicing what I preach, right? So and even in different certain, if someone has a similar, say, financial goal than I personally do, I'll even tell them, like, well, I'm personally in these exact accounts. And they say, oh, wow, really? I'm like, well, yeah, because I'm not going to put you in something that I wouldn't do myself. And I think that really rings true a lot with my clients too, of like, wow, okay, you're in the same thing. Oh, wow, okay. And I think it gives a little more credibility too to what I'm doing. And the fact that I've already, like I said, I've already done it. I've been through it and I know the path because I've walked it already.
Well, and something I just, was right there present for me, Lauren, also is that you also, even if you're in the path on your way, you don't come across as authoritative. I have the answers. This is the way, there's a gentleness around you. So the other thing in the note that I took down is, as we've had this conversation all of today with you and even before that, what I'm present to is that the universe, so to speak, whatever you want to call it, universe, God, whatever, has you in the right spot today. And that started, with your family and your upbringing and then your music, and that was the direction that your life was going to go, mathematics, and that it's not an accident that you're where you're at today. And yet a lot of times people look at those as random events. I was this, then I did that, and I did this. But there is probably a woven pattern for you that now has you where you actually shine the best. And so that's what was present for me.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. Yeah, I would kind of agree on I think, I take a lot more of an educative approach, right? So where you're saying not authoritative, and I would absolutely agree with that because it's a lot more, like I said, educative. These are things that people aren't learning in school. And why the heck aren't we, right? And so it's not you didn't figure it out, shame on you. It's, well, how could you have figured it out? There was no learning in place. There was no training. There was no classes. There was nothing to prepare you. And because a lot of, the parents, they don't know either because, again, they were in the same thing. No one taught them, so they're not able to teach their children, and now their children are becoming adults. They don't know how to teach their kids. And like I said, I just happen to be lucky that, my dad somehow, figured it out and, past that kind of not skill so much, but this planted the seed in me to grow in that aspect.
So one thing that stood out for me real quick, and then you'll see how this ties in, Lauren. So we completed a Achieving Business and Life Success weekend 2 weekends ago, and there was a financial planner in there, and when Jack was up there talking about whatever he was talking about, the question was posed like, well, you've done all this research to know this and that and all of this stuff. And like, how are we supposed to, find the time to do that? And really the response was, well, this is what I do. Right. He was like, oh, what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm a financial planner. I was like, well, I don't know any of that. I need to talk to you. You need to give me the advice of what I need to do, because that's what you specialize in. So my point being is that people need to seek out. There's so much of this DIY. I'm going to DIY absolutely everything in my life. Is that effective? Probably not. Because I'm sure we've all seen a lot of people's DIY projects, and it doesn't look like a professional did it, right?
When I do a DIY, you know what I think? Dumb idiot you are.
So there you go. Because, look, there's the old saying, master of all trades, jack of none.
Jack of none. Yeah, Yep, absolutely.
So, let's break this down. To be effective, we need to know what our skill sets are and what we're really good at. And you focus on that. And where you need assistance in life, you seek out those professionals. If you want to get your backyard done, yeah, you can do it yourself. Is it going to look like a professional did it? Probably not. If you don't have all the answers on how to deal with your money and how to get to where you want to go with money, go talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. You need to call up Lauren and have a conversation, and she can help you there. You need to seek out the information and let the experts really speak to what they know in their expertise. And when we're talking about experts, we've all heard the saying, you need to, what is it, 10,000 hours? Mm-hmm. 10,000 hours to become an expert at what they're doing. Well, are you going to do that? Are you going to become the expert at it? No, you're going to do what you do best, right? So, for those listening, this is a great way. Hey, look, I've got questions. Questions are free. They don't cost anything. Get the answers. Yep, and then, find the people, talk to Lauren, or, you need to seek it out. Say, show me a way, show me the path, get me going, get me started, right? And that's that's what you do. Mm-hmm. And, people just need to be aware of all right, well, if you want to be successful, you need to seek the advice of the people that are experts in what they do.
Yep, absolutely. And actually an HSBC study showed that people who had a financial advisor had 445% more financial growth than someone without.
There you go.
Yeah, because people think, oh yeah, like you said, DIY. Oh, I can do it. I can do it and not pay fees and things like that. But 445% is quite a high amount.
Yes,
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lauren, thank you for coming on our podcast with us today. This has been awesome. For our guests out there, you can find us at any of our networking events. We actually have a lunch this week, and we've got 4 masterminds going this week. So check us out at enosuccess.com. And Micah, I want to thank you for partnering on this with me. And again, Lauren, thank you for being our guest here today. And we will be back next week with another podcast.
All right. Good convo, everyone. Awesome. See you next week.